This is the Rebel Scum Podcast. Available in video on YouTube and audio wherever you listen to your podcasts. Every week, Brock and James talk the latest rumors, news, and theories from a galaxy far, far away. Support us on Patreon for exclusive offers and join the Star Wars discussion. Patreon.com/RebelScumPodcast. Here are your hosts, Brock and James.
You are always scum. Rebel Scum.
James, you can go to Etsy right now and buy, I think it's like the pattern to build your own Lula doll from the Bad Batch. There's no Hollow News today because that was the only piece of news I could find that was actually interesting.
Where is Etsy?
Etsy is in the internet in your computer.
What? It's in the computer?
Yeah, it's
Zoolander.
in the computer. It's
in the computer. Interesting.
It's a center for ants.
It's such a good movie. I've never seen Zoolander 2. Just gotta.
Man, me neither. I was like, oh.
Yeah,
I
and
remember seeing Zoolander in the theater as a teenager, and two of my friends got up and left and went to the arcade because they thought it wasn't very funny.
I refused to watch it in the theater, and then I watched it on DVD in a friend's dorm room, and I was like, "This is the." I thought it was good, and then spoilers for those of you who haven't seen a 20-year-old movie, when all of the male models are having the gasoline fight, and then they blow up and die. I lost it. I thought that was the funniest thing I've ever seen. I was just literally I laughed. It happened. I was like, oh, they killed them for real. And I thought it was really funny. Anyway, Star Wars.
Welcome to the Rebel Scum Podcast, episode 219. I'm Brock.
James.
Fucking Star Wars, James.
Okay, so we're going to go on Etsy. We're going to get that. How much is it going for? Oh, you build it yourself. Wait,
I don't know.
How does it work?
Yeah, you build it yourself.
I have to go on and find this. I can't believe that doll is becoming like a thing. That's awesome. Like in a good way. I haven't seen episode 5. I should start off by saying I have not seen episode 5. This is going up on Wednesday. We're recording this on Tuesday. I haven't seen it. I'm not sure where I want. We talked about this last week, right? When it's warm out, Brock, I just don't put on the TV. It was really cold. It snowed. Freaking snowed.
Yeah, that day it snowed when it came out. I was like, what?
Was that
happened?
So something happened though, but it snowed on Friday. So it snowed. I was working though. I had to actually go into work. I had to travel to work. So I wasn't home to watch it. And then at night, I feel like I watched something else. Then I had to watch my beloved Toronto Maple Leafs screw the pooch. And then Sunday was nice. And I just didn't. I have seen Dawn Army of the Dead 7 or 8 times, and I have seen Wonder Woman 2 4 times. But we won't get into that. But the thing is, when I put those on, because I've seen them, I don't have to pay attention to them. Whereas Bad Batch, I've fallen asleep in the middle of 2 of them so far because I'm too. So I don't want to get into that. So I want to watch it, but I need to know what your thoughts were on episode 5 of The Bad Batch.
I think you should watch it soon. I
saw one spoiler.
It's funny. There's a very popular character kind of pops up.
That's the
and I was like, oh, yo, we kind of called this. Not exactly. We didn't call it exactly, but I think you'll be pleasantly pleased with this one. But outside of that, the episode was good. You know what? I'm starting to get worried. Is I watched that episode on Friday. Maybe I should write thoughts down when I'm watching it. But once we get to this recording, it's like, what was the episode about? It was good. It's typical. I know Filoni's not writing every single thing, but it's typical Filoni style where it's like, here's a bunch of random things, and then they'll drop a few things, and I'm sure the last 2 episodes will be like, this is why all of this is important. You're like, oh, right. So it's a lot of like, oh, that was a fun caper. Like, so do I still like it? Of course. I hate to say this. I'm so biased towards Star Wars. It's just like, oh, Star Wars things? Very cool. I don't know if I ever told you this. My work in our warehouse where all our equipment is, they just got a new inventory system that makes noises when you scan the barcodes or you enter something into the system or whatever. They're all Star Wars noises.
What?
There's like a Chewbacca noise. I was in the warehouse today, and when they scanned something, it made a blaster bolt sound. I think there's a whole they hate, like, the warehouse people like hate it because it's like, it's kind of annoying and you can't turn the noise off for whatever reason. It goes pew pew. Like,
on May the 4th, which is now a month ago, if you can believe it, Aaron was doing like this online yoga class. There's some app, and you get yoga instructors from all over the world. And there's one guy who apparently was really good. He was in California, I believe, and he was doing his yoga class, and he was obsessed with Star Wars. And it happened to be May the 4th. And Aaron knew it was May the 4th, but she didn't think yoga would like interfere. And he just talked about it. He was at celebration. He was talking about that. And his post that day on his Instagram was he recreated the Luke handstand with Yoda on his foot, but he had a baby Yoda on his foot, and he did a one-hand handstand because he's a yoga instructor and very, strong. We could probably do it, bro. You and I could probably do it. We could probably do a one-armed handstand and put a baby and have somebody put a baby Yoda on our foot. I think easily we could do it. But anyway, so no, it just made me laugh because Star Wars just has this way of appearing everywhere, whether you like it or not. It is in the zeitgeist of our minds.
Absolutely,
I love it. I love it. It's the best. I'm really looking forward to Bad Batch, but I want to bring something up to you. I didn't tell you about this. I saw it tweeted, and I have a few thoughts on that. But apparently there's an article going... You might have seen this when you look for the news, but there's an article going around saying that Star Wars is going back to George Lucas. And George Lucas is...
I did that one. I read it, I'm like, what the...
Yeah, so it's making its way on Twitter, and everyone is basically bashing it, because obviously it's not true, and it's the stupidest thing ever. My thing, though, aside from... I said that so that our headline could be that, but what annoys me is, even when you're just copy and pasting this, we're giving these people voices and that's why they're doing it, right? It's like they're doing it to cause clicks on their page and whatever, to create this fake conversation that leads to their page inevitably. And I think, I don't know how you feel, Brock, but I think it's time we just ignore the stupidity.
Yeah, it makes me mad because, like, normally I ignore stuff like that, but when I look for news for the show, like, I feel like I'm aiding the system. Because, like, the article I opened was, like, it looked like a reputable website. I can't remember which one it was. I
don't want to bring them up, but it looked reputable, for sure. It wasn't We Got This Covered. It was, like, a real... It wasn't, but it looked...
Sorry, the title was the only actual... statement about it. It was just like, he sold it and da-da-da. I mean, he wasn't very happy with how, like, that's great. Like, no one cares. You sold your company for $4 billion. That is you saying.
Do you think George Lucas even watched like the sequels? I know he was at the premiere of Force, but do you think he was just in there like, and Harrison Ford's like, I don't want to be here either.
That was the best part of the article. I wish I'd saved it. There's a picture of him at Disney at some point. I don't think it's like the current Disney. It's just him and Mickey and Donald dressed up in, like, he's dressed up in his normal lumberjack. But then, like, the characters are dressed up like Jedi or Sith or Vader or whatever. It's a picture of them together. He's holding a lightsaber. He's the guy
I've seen that one, yeah.
That created lightsabers, and he looks like the least impressed with holding a lightsaber. I'm like, you created this.
That's the thing, though. I think because he created it, he doesn't. I think he values it more than we do, but in a completely different way.
Yeah, exactly.
Like to us, it's like, oh, and to him, he's like, well, I have other ideas. Like it's like a plant that he has to keep watering, you know. But for us, it's like, just feed me the grapes off of it.
Yeah.
And he's like, but I gotta take care of it. And then he sold it to another farmer, and now they're like, they're prunes.
It's like Colonel Sanders probably didn't want to eat fried chicken every day.
In Mississauga, he might
like,
have.
I made a business in Mississauga. Like, it was so funny. I should have sent you that picture. He looks so annoyed to be there. He's like surrounded. Granted, he didn't create Mickey or Donald, but he's surrounded by Star Wars, like the biggest franchise ever. He's just like, "Where's my Coke Zero?" Just so funny. But yeah, like it's like these art. Like, look. Would I love if George Lucas came back and did something? Sure. I don't know why they're not doing it. Like, yeah, George, do an episode. Like, Stan Lee was like retired, or not retired, but like he wasn't making comics anymore. Like in the 2000s, and like DC let him like what? Just imagine like Stan Lee created the DC characters. No one clamors for that, but you know, if you stamp like today, this Star Wars directed by George Lucas, everyone will go. So it's like, it's not a bad idea, but like, come on, like we can't live in this world anymore. Like we'll just reset. We'll reset.
Yeah.
I'm like, for real? I mean, George Lucas should be happy enough with the fact that Dave Filoni wants nothing more to make him happy. Take his ideas and like Filoni. I mean, especially with Rebels, you're like, a lot of the visuals of Rebels are just Ralph McQuarrie stuff that didn't get used. It's like, that's genius. Like, he made a very engaging story that was very, very good. But it's just like, when you think about it, he's just like, hey, what about this? He's kind of like Stephen King. Stephen King has been writing books for 50 years, and they're still good. I still read his new stuff, but I know for a fact that most of his stories are stuff he started like 20 years ago, didn't get anywhere with it, and then now is writing again. Like, his latest book was about hitchhikers. Like, part of it was about hitchhikers and like a kid running away and getting on a train. That would not happen ever. That is a 1970s thing that doesn't exist anymore. Was it a good story? Hell yes. But you're like, oh, you wrote this 20 years ago when this made sense. But it's like there's nothing wrong with like taking old ideas that didn't work before. So it's like, I don't know. George Lucas, sure.
I think I don't know. I understand separating you from George Lucas, like Disney's, like we gotta separate from, because you know, and when they did The Force Awakens, he would have been way too attached at that point. And I'm someone who, I love the prequels, originals, sequels, but but the prequels, I think for my age range, I think I like them more than a lot of people have on it. And I think I would have taken to his sequels because of that. I think I would have taken to his sequels better than a lot of people, but I do think his sequels would have been probably even received worse than the prequels. If you listen to his conversation with James Cameron, what he wanted to take them in, what he wanted to do with them. And the one thing I can't stand is when they're like, well, George Lucas wanted Luke to be an isolate. You can't, like, let's not ever compare those, because a George Lucas isolation and a Abrams Johnson isolation are probably miles apart. And that's not saying one's better than the other, but one of them was all about midichlorians. Don't forget about it. Like, I mean it, like, okay, he was in isolation, but the reason why, and it's very different. And I don't think saying, well, that's what he would have done. I think it's a very different thing. And it's true. He said he would have done that, but I don't think it would have been similar at all to what we ended up getting. And I just think, you know, and I mentioned this the last few weeks where I think, at the time when Disney bought it, I'm going to say Disney. I know people are like, but it's Lucasfilm, but it's Disney. Like at the time, like Disney owned it. Like they owned Marvel and they got Avi Arad out of it. You know what I mean? Like that was their thing. That this is our property now. It's a separate arm, but we own you. I think they were really trying to separate themselves from the prequels as much as possible, which I think 10 years ago now made sense. It made sense. I know the Clone Wars, people love the Clone Wars, but it wasn't, not everybody on the planet was watching the Clone Wars. Yeah. There was a group of Star Wars fans watching the Clone Wars. And I think it was smart of them to do that. But I think as time goes on, they have to circle back and realize that now's the time to get it. So I think getting rid of George Lucas at the time made sense. And I don't even know if you need to bring him. I think him just being on the Mandalorian set is enough. Because to me, that's respect, right? It's like, hey, come check it out. And he was there, I think, was he? And he was on Solo. He visited Solo with his buddy Ron Howard. So I don't know. I think as time goes on and his grip on the franchise is gone and Disney's is firmly in there, I think is they'll appreciate him showing up, and he'll appreciate showing up more too, because if he shows up in The Force Awakens, he's like, these white slavers, like that's what he said. Like that's the thing though. It's all like his mindset changes now. It's been 6 years since The Force Awakens. He's had time to heal. Disney has had its time to kind of let their new Lucasfilm blossom. Yeah. And that's how I feel about it.
Yeah, like if this was 2 years ago before Disney Plus started, like there wouldn't be much to argue against, like, oh, perhaps George Lucas needs to come back. But like The Mandalorian has proven that they can make something new in Star Wars and it can be globally received as a success, I suppose. I don't know how you gauge anything now, but like, the sequels were divisive. That's totally understandable. Like it's like WGR, wonderful girlfriend Reham, loves Star Wars, and like she never watched Star Wars before meeting me. Like listening to me talk about Star Wars made her want to watch it. Now she has opposing views on the sequels to me. Like she is not a fan of Rose, like at all. Like at all. I don't even think she likes The Last Jedi. I think she likes Force Awakens and Rise of Skywalker more than Last Jedi.
Which is like, people can argue whatever. It's all subjective. Let's remember that.
Yeah, exactly.
But
and like that's my point. Like it's like,
but those two movies fit because they're both JJ. Like it's like those two are like these pieces to a puzzle. And The Last Jedi is, it's
exactly. But yeah, like that's my point. Like there's no finding an answer on whether the sequels are good or not. It's not worth it. Like there's no way to really get an answer. Maybe in like 10 years we'll be like, yeah, I like it.
Yeah, I think
our prequels, right?
Yeah, no, I agree. I think 10, 20 years is when people I think whether they work or not, that's when we're going to find out. Is when the kids now are like, I watched the Rise of Skywalker last year when COVID hit and they released it on digital early. Anybody that pre-ordered it got it a few days early. I watched it with my nieces and nephew because COVID hadn't actually hit yet, so they were over. It was weird. It was a weird time. And we watched it, and they had never seen it, and they had seen the first two, and I think they've seen most of the other ones. But I'll never forget the shock and awe in all three of their faces when she was a Palpatine. And I was like, that's what it's about. It's not about you and your stupid theory or you crying because it's blue. But it's these kids who are like, oh, what? And then the next day we were going for a walk and they would pick up sticks and they would be having lightsaber fights with the sticks. Yeah. And I'm like, that's what Star Wars is all about. It doesn't matter. It was like, I always tell the story when I went to go see my first Michael Bay Ninja Turtles in the theater. And my nephew was 4. And the trailers ended, the theater goes pitch black, and all you hear is this little 4-year-old voice saying, I'm so excited for this movie. And I was like, well... And of course it was his favorite movie of all time, right? Like, it was Ninja Turtles, and it was his first time seeing a Ninja Turtle in the theater. It was like the greatest moment of his life. Yeah. And that's what those movies are for. I still love the movie, but those movies are for kids. And that Rey Palpatine, as much as people hate him, like she's Rey nobody. Well, whatever. To the kids, they were blown away and loved them. Like their jaws. I think I posted on Instagram. Like their jaws literally dropped. I was just like, I wasn't really expecting it, but it was, they took that away from that, and they had a great time watching it.
Yeah. How did we even get on this? Oh yeah, George Lucas.
George Lucas should have come back. George Lucas should. Here's what should happen, Brock. George Lucas should remake The Last Jedi.
It's not a bad idea because he's remade every single thing else that he's done.
That's true. That's true.
Like he put, what is it that Greedo says in the
McClunky?
McClunky. Why, George? Why? This is the person people are like, yeah, he should come back. Like, get out of here, man. Like,
yeah. I don't know. I always liked. I don't know. This is 30 years, 24 years ago when the special editions came out in theaters. That Jabba the Hutt addition in A New Hope was like, for me, the most exciting thing ever. I mean, he looked a little funky.
Yeah.
But it was Jabba the Hutt in this movie, and then they showed you the scene of the guy who looks like Fred Flintstone walking around. And you're like, oh my god! I was like, I have to go see. And they're like, oh, and the Death Star explosion is bigger. I'm like, I don't care about a bigger explosion. I care about Jabba the Hutt. And then Han walked over the tail, and everyone makes fun of it now. But at the time, I was like those kids. I mean, I was a teenager, but I was like those kids. I walked in, and I'm like, this is the greatest. Like, this is. It's like the Star Wars that I grew up with this addition here that just kind of like blew my mind that I loved. And also, I mean, I'm biased. I love Jabba the Hutt, but the fact that he was there and everything, it just, I don't know.
Yeah.
I know what you're saying, like McClunky, like, and then he kind of went a little crazy on them. But he didn't really add much to the prequels, which I always kind of hoped he would. Yeah. And I hope they do with the sequels, because now you have the three of them. Why not be like, let's tighten, like they did the stuff to the Rise of Skywalker, but why not tighten them up a little bit? Why not? Yeah. Let's just be like, because now, hindsight's 2020. Now you can be like, we'll do that. We'll just throw it in. The digital copies will get it,
It's smart, and like it creates like this desire to have a copy of the original, maybe. I mean, like kind of do that with, they don't, no one's, but like the original trilogy, like to find an old VHS of it.
Yeah.
Like not remastered would be like awesome.
Absolutely. I haven't taped off a TV somewhere. I don't think the beginning of the opening crawl of A New Hope's in there, so I couldn't tell you if it says A New Hope or not. I couldn't read when I watched it, so I remember my dad was it Columbia House? My dad almost got a Columbia House subscription. He never got Columbia House movies. My mom and me would always get the CDs. I was always big on let's just get every CD imaginable, and I also did BMG music. But but Columbia House one time had the movies, and they're like, you can get 7 for a penny, and they had the Star Wars ones in there before the special. Like this was before the special edition, so that pack that came out just before the special edition, and and my dad doesn't. He's never been into movies like buying them or anything. It's been like tape it off TV and I'll watch it later. He's just never they never buy. I'd buy movies and the people would buy them for me, but he just my parents weren't really into buying movies because they don't. My parents watch a movie once and they're done. I watch the same. I watched Army of the Dead 7 times and I've watched Wonder Woman 2 4 times. I'll tell you how. I don't watch different movies. I watch the same one, and Aaron gets mad again. I'm like, you're not in the room. But he almost bought those, but then. So I kind of wish he did now because they would be really cool to have. But the problem was you buy those, then the next 20 you have to buy are $27.99 or something stupid. It's like doesn't work out. The math doesn't work out when you actually think of how Columbia House works. So I got you, Columbia House, you scam. I feel bad though for the Columbia House employees who all lost their jobs when Napster came. Kind of sucks.
When COVID hit.
No, they got the Serb. They're good.
Yeah. I don't know. It's I don't even know what to say anymore. I kind of lost my train of thought. But I don't know, Star Wars. It's like yeah, I don't know. It must be like it must be bad for Star Wars news when they have to come up with some rumor like that and like people are actually going after it. It's like
At least it's not
really?
Brie Larson again.
When I typed in Star Wars into Google today, the first 3 articles were about Lego. Like, Star Wars Lego, like, which is
People
huge.
want the game.
It wasn't even about the game. It was about like collector things.
Oh, like that R2D2 came out, I think, or something.
Yeah, and then like there's some kind of like Lego display in some building. I don't know. It's just like that's cool. But there's only so much you want to talk about Lego, I guess. I don't know. I could be wrong. This is not the Lego Scum podcast.
People love Lego. I do know people obsess over Lego. I'm not a huge Lego guy.
Mm-hmm.
I just find it tedious, and I don't know. I just like, can it just come built?
That's the point. But yeah, just like really, like I don't know. I don't think we need any George Lucas. But like I said earlier, like it'd be a no-brainer to just be like, yeah, George, why don't you direct something or like an episode or something like.
But if he did, if that ever happened, then YouTube would blow up with like it would just, I would hate it.
Yeah.
It'd probably suck, and then I don't know. Anyway, we're gonna do our top 5 Star Wars things that we're looking forward to that are coming out.
Yeah.
I don't know what mine are yet, but there's 5 things. I don't know. Star Wars is like Star Wars is doing Taika Waititi's movie apparently still happening. By the way, Love and whatever it's called, the Thor and Thunder finished production apparently. And Taika Waititi, did you hear Taika Waititi got in trouble? He was making out with his girlfriend on a balcony.
Oh no!
And Valkyrie was there also, and they were all hugging and having a good time. And
oh, speaking of which, I watched Men in Black International the other day with.
Oh yeah, Thor and Valkyrie. What were your thoughts? I haven't seen it.
I never saw the third one, but I always like these Men in Black movies. Like I was like, yeah, this is a movie. I think I might have missed a few things because I was watching it intermittently. I didn't watch it all the way through, but like for what it was, I was like, this is good. And Liam Neeson's in it. There's Qui-Gon. So it's like it's solid. It delivers as a Men in Black movie. Like I would argue it was just as fun as the original one. I don't know. I think people maybe got bored with the fact that this just feels like the first one. Who cares? Like it's fun. Visually it looked cool.
I haven't seen it.
Yeah.
I watched The Grudge recently as for studying as research for a movie I'm shooting. I was like, let's watch The Grudge to Aaron. I am bad with horror, man. So I saw that movie in the theater, and it terrified me because I'm a wuss. And then I bought it on DVD, and it terrified me because I'm a wuss. And then I was like, let's watch it. It's on Amazon Prime. And it took us 2 nights to watch it, but we won this. The first night was like whatever. The second night, it scared me. And then I had to go. And then like it was frost warnings. So we had to cover up our garden. Like we have this the vegetable garden, so we had to run out there. And the whole time out there, I was like, "Oh my god, there's something out here trying to get me." I was having panic attacks. I had the world's brightest flashlight, and but anyway, that's but I only watched that once. That's why I haven't seen Bad Batch because I've been too busy watching every movie I've seen multiple times.
I love Stephen King, but I still have yet to watch Chapter 2 of It.
Yeah, I haven't seen it either.
I happened to watch the first half of Dr. Sleep in the theater, but didn't watch the rest of it because we had to kill time between shows. I was like, this was fun. I like that book, but still, it's just like it can still be like I don't get phased by zombie movies, but like when it's like I'm like, oh shit.
Yeah, I know zombies don't get me either, but I've never seen The Shining or read it or know anything about it other than he says here's Johnny and he I think he freezes at the end. And then, so I haven't seen Dr. Sleep because I'm like, well, I haven't seen the other one at all. But the first remember we saw the first in the theater, and we were both scared, but you were better off because you kind of knew what was coming.
Yeah.
Because you read, but I had never read it, and then I remember being like really excited to watch this. I was really excited to see it. I thought the trailer looked great, like it just looked great. And I remember seeing it in the theater, and I didn't know how it started. Like I've seen like memes of, "Hey Georgie, come down here." Like so, I kind of knew something was happening. I didn't know to what extent was happening. And then when he like the kid like his arm gets bit off and stuff, I was like, I turned to you or turned to Aaron, and I said, I don't know if I'm ready to watch kids get killed. I was just like, I don't know. Now, it panned out that I ended up loving the movie after that. Yeah. But even when I watched that movie at home, because I bought it on digital, but even when I watched it at home, I just skipped that opening scene. I'm like, you know what I don't need in my life? Georgie. And I skip it. And
like the best part is like the original It was like cult classic. Everyone's like, this is crazy. But like, when you watch those movies, there's nowhere they don't hold a candle to the newer horror films. You can do so much more, and it's just like it's almost laughable what happens in that movie in comparison to. We're just like, whoa.
Yeah, I've never seen the Tim Curry It either.
But I remember you saying when we went to see the first chapter, they're like, I like the part when they're on bikes. That's true. Like that's the beauty of Stephen King. Like he totally encapsulates like what it's like to live in a town, and it's just like we're kids on bikes.
I live right near where they shot half of that movie, and I'll drive down there once in a while and be like, I need to leave. I need to get out of here because it's scary. But you know, I like it when they're on bike. Like it does. It captures that. It was like Goonies, right? I'm like, this is what I like. And it the way the movie went out, it was like Stand By Me is brilliant, right? And it felt like that only with a killer clown.
Yeah.
And then when it got to that point, we're like, oh, I don't have to worry about like the clown isn't. I don't want to spoil it for people who haven't seen a 7-year-old movie, but like when you kind of get to that point when you realize the clown isn't going to win, that's when I was like, okay, I'm good. Because the beginning, I was like, I'm not ready for this. Mentally, I was like, oh no, I wanted the bikes. Like the bikes is what I wanted, and I got the bikes, and then like I don't know, it's what like maybe 25 minutes after that opening scene, you realize you're like, oh, this isn't about these kids dying. It's about these kids getting revenge, like taking out the clown. Like so, like, kind of, like that's when I don't know how a Star Wars podcast turns this, but anyway, that's when I kind of started to really, really like. And I haven't seen the second one because I'm pretty sure some of the kids lose, and I'm not ready to watch that when they're adults. I'm just like, and it's like almost 3 hours. I hear.
It's so true though. It's just like But anyways, I can't wait to go see movies again in the theater. Like. It's like so close, and we have to watch the Americans. Watch what do they want?
Yo, Quiet Place 2 made $1 bazillion. Congratulations! No, that's awesome though.
It's crazy when you think about it because like it was supposed to premiere at the beginning of COVID.
Critics have seen it for over a year.
What's gonna happen? What's gonna happen? It's perfect that it came out. Like it made more in the first day that it did in the first weekend of the first one or something. Something crazy. I'm like, no way, because now everyone can go to the theater, so it's like it's almost perfect. Like
if it would have came out,
that did well too, right? Because it was just like, wow, there's nothing else.
And Godzilla, I think, did really well.
Yeah. Like it's.
But I think Quiet Place is like this is the one where like okay, movies might stand a chance now. So
yeah.
But people like Mortal Kombat and Godzilla. I'm sure they would have done decently before, but now they're not making as much now. But with the pandemic, it's like, well, look, people are willing to go see anything now, because they just want to leave their damn house. So I was teetering on going to see Mortal Kombat anyway, and then they locked us down like that week, so I couldn't. I have seen it. I did, but like. Yeah, I'm looking forward to like I'm coming down in October. We're going to watch The French Dispatch.
Yeah.
Something else comes out that day too. Oh, Edgar Wright's movie. We're going to do a two for that day.
What's Edgar Wright's movie? Which one's that?
No Sleep Till Soho. No, One Night in Soho. Have you seen the trailer? Horror.
I don't think so.
It's a horror movie.
Son of a bitch.
Yeah, horror thriller. Yeah, so we'll watch that. Then we'll watch The French Dispatch to like release. It's like when I watched Sinister, and I watched Zoolander after Sinister years ago because it scared the crackers out of me. I watched this movie petrified. Aaron was fine. My brother-in-law was like crying, and it's about children who kill their parents. And then that night, it was Halloween night. The power went out. Aaron was like, "You have to walk me to the bathroom." So I walk her, and then we look, and my brother-in-law is in his bed with his 2 youngest children, like. Let's watch Zoolander again. All right, so we're doing that 2 show, by the way. We're gonna
Nice.
Yeah, we're gonna watch at the same time. We're
Yeah,
gonna buy tickets for one. I'll buy ticket for one. You buy for the other. We'll sneak it. I wonder how that's gonna work with COVID. Like, if you can sneak into movies anymore.
I feel like they wouldn't. I think it's like it would be in their best interest to just make it all like you buy the ticket and you know exactly which seat you're sitting in. Which, like, I feel like it's like that, but it's not always the case. But like now they have to, right? Like they have to space people out, even if it's like we are safe. They're gonna have to space people out for the first 6 months, I would assume. Like right?
Almost a year. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, I mean, here in Canada, Cineplex has been pretty smart where they put a lot more of those like nice seats, the VIP seats thing. So like, I know like just like the last time I went to the theater, one of the big theaters in Mississauga had like improved a whole bunch of this. Like I had no clue. I was like, oh wow, this is, and it was like the better seats, the ones that actually fully recline.
Nice.
Those seats that they've been talking about since we were in high school and grade school, like
they exist.
They exist now, and they warm up and stuff. Like, if they were smart, I mean, I'm sure they didn't want to spend money, but like, I would just make all the theaters that, because at least it's like, I don't know, a little. But maybe it's better to have more chairs or seats to the space. Anyways, someday we're getting close to being back to normal.
Almost there. All right, odds.
Sir, the possibility of successfully navigating an asteroid field is approximately 3,720 to 1.
Never tell me the odds.
Let's do it.
Never tell me the odds.
Never tell me the odds.
Today's odds are brought to us by
Oh, yes,
Patreon. I'm 219 episodes. 219.
To us by patreon.com. If you would like to support us, go on down to patreon.com/Rebel Scum Podcast and give us your money, please. Once you do that, you can be one of these wonderful people that just think we're the cat's pajamas. People like Heidi Feder, executive producer, Barry Brophy, Dennis Allen, Randy Kenobi, Mary Kristen Aton, Jeff Wilson, Phil Stanifor, Soonerthron, Scott D, Josh Price, Matt W,
Rez, Frank Perkins, Neil Lowry, D. Raven Spencer, Cosmic Girl 02, Gleek Play 1, Disney, Desi, Charlotte, Kayla Davis, Aaron Quinton, Dead and Nerds, and they have sabers and they are girls. The girls with sabers, that's right.
Do they actually own sabers? That's something I want to know. They must, right?
Probably. I mean, otherwise their name would be a lie. And I don't know them to be liars. Other than saying that they're fans of ours.
Nice.
Yeah! That's what you call
Yeah!
a deep burn. Self-deprecating humor. First off, thank you all to Patreon, though. Thank you, Patreon. This means a lot to us.
Thank you. Yeah, you're the best.
Number one, we will learn about Reys Origins on Disney Plus. Well, I should say more about her origins. Will we learn more about her origins? Will they go dive deep and be like she was born from Omega? Maybe she is Omega. We don't know.
You know, it's funny now that you mention it, like, because like we haven't really seen Palpatine much in Bad Batch outside of the first episode, and like the posters like had him like front and center. Like, of course, it's all that like we are the new Empire. Like it's literally his like projection in the poster. So I was kind of hoping that there'd be a little bit more, but I'm gonna go with 80% if they actually want to go down. Like putting in Disney Plus seems to be the makes the most sense. I mean, you could put it in comic or a book too, I guess, but at least on Disney Plus, there's some. I don't know. Sure.
I'm gonna go 53%. I think they should. Not like they should or they need to, but like you have a perfect opportunity to flesh something out right now.
Yeah.
I don't know where. I'm not saying where. I'm not saying Bad Batch. I'm not saying Book of Boba Fett. Obviously, I'm saying they have an opportunity now to do something, which they kind of snuck Snoke in and cloning Palpatine and Mandalorian. You know, so they could even sneak that in with Rey. But like, there's an opportunity to do it, and if you can, why wouldn't you?
Mm. Yeah.
The next odd, if Marvel's What If is popular, will Star Wars make one?
I think that would be a genius move. I think that's gonna upset some Star Wars fans because then it's like I think people start getting confused of like, oh, I saw this happen. Like Luke has a wife, but
well,
like
they did the comic, right?
Genius. All you have to do is like, here's the old canon, or you could do a whole thing on like George Lucas's original Star Wars, the Star Wars. Like it's like, here, look, Han is a lizard man, and Luke is an old man. Like you could easily do that. I think that would be great. Will they do it? I'm gonna go 40% because it's just like I think you can do that with Marvel, but I think Star Wars, like people might revolt. I don't know why. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I'm with you. I don't see why you wouldn't do it other than people revolting. I'm going to go 40%. I feel like it's such a no-brainer, though. It's like...
Yeah.
Like, you have it.
Why not?
They did the comic. Just do it. Just do it. Like, just do it. And then everyone's always showing artwork of, like, imagine if Anakin didn't turn to the dark side. Like, they're always doing stuff like that. So just do it. Like, just do it. Like, it writes itself. It's not canon. You don't have to worry about it being tied down to anything. It could be 5 minutes for all you care. Anyway. And
you keep that idea of like what if. It's like, what if this didn't happen? It's not like, oh, here's Colin Trevorrow's script, even though every Star Wars fan would like clamor for that. That wouldn't be like a terrible idea. Like, here's the ideas people had. You could put Zack Snyder's Kurosawa Star Wars in there. But you know what's hot right now, James? I don't know if you noticed this.
Apple pie?
Apple pie is always hot. Anthologies are like huge. Yeah. Have you noticed that? Like, especially sci-fi anthologies.
But remember when the spin-offs were going to be called Star Wars Anthologies, and then they changed the name to a Star Wars Story, and now anthologies are like the thing. Like, they could have been out of the curve.
Yeah, so like that would be cool just to be like, take that idea of like just one-off episodes and just like, yeah, that's how you explain Rey, or that's how you explain what Luke did in between, or like you that could be an opportunity to do the Lando Luke journey that we hear about in Rise of Skywalker. You know? So I'm excited for that. That comes out soon. Like Marvel's What If was always like a fantastic idea because you're just like, what if the Punisher had killed Spider-Man? What if?
Yeah, I love it. And our final odd, Hondo Anako will arrive on the Bad Batch.
You know what? I'm going to go 100% on this, James, because if it doesn't happen, I will be very disappointed. I don't know if he's in Resistance. I don't think he ever shows up. Like, I feel like Hondo has to be in every Filoni thing.
I think Hondo is dead by Resistance.
Right. But we don't know how he dies, right?
No. I think just like timing-wise, he's got to be. Yeah, he's got to be like 100,000 by then. We also don't know how old they live. I'm going to go 67%. It should happen. I want it to happen, but are they kind of, and they put him in Galaxy's Edge. Like he's in Galaxy's Edge in Disney. So he should show up in everything. He should show up in Book of Boba Fett or Mandalorian. Like he needs, I think because he is in Galaxy's Edge, people who have been to Galaxy's Edge who don't know who he is, like or aren't familiar with him, need to see him in something and be like, oh, that's that guy from Galaxy's Edge. And then we're like, no. That's how I feel about that. That's it. That's our odds. Those are our odds. Let us know what your odds are in the comments down below. Brock doesn't have any nudes.
Oh, I got nudes, baby.
he doesn't have any news, so I could spare you all my singing. So we'll just go straight to top 5.
Top 5. I'm just sorry. I know I seem distracted. I'm like, was Hondo in the Resistance show? And there seems to be no answer. The best is like, is Hondo still alive?
Yeah.
How does the Hondo die? What happened to Hondo and Naka? Is Hondo dead in Star Wars? Hondo. What's our top 5 today, James?
Top 5. Oh, hold on. I lost it. Top 5 upcoming Star Wars projects. Woo. Whether they be books, comics, movies, TV series, etc. Mm-hmm. What are our top 5? I'll go first. My number 5 is Rogue Squadron. I'm not entirely convinced this is happening.
Oh, I know.
So I'm putting it number 5. Because if it does happen, it'll be the first Star Wars movie in theaters, and then it will be my most anticipated of anything. But for now, it's number 5.
I mean, I think this is still happening, but I'm really looking forward to a Taika Waititi Star Wars. So he's done Thor, so maybe.
I think it is happening. But he's working on Thor Thunderous Loves.
Yeah.
By the way, I want that hat that they have. But yeah, so I think pretty sure until it gets canceled, it's happening.
Yeah. So that's my number 5. That's why it's low because it's like
it's
my number.
Yeah, it's gonna be great.
Yeah.
My number 4 is the Acolyte. Acolyte. My number 4.
Yeah.
I get. Look, this was like my. Is it number 4? That's funny. This
continue.
Well, this was like going to be later on my list, like close. Dude, I'm also like, am I convinced this is happening anymore? I don't know. I don't know.
I'm putting it on my list because it's going to connect to High Republic, and I wanted to put some High Republic on here. I've fallen off on reading the books, but we're going to get new stuff like shortly. So like, I'm still very interested in this High Republic thing. So that the fact that this like Acolyte links with it, I'm very interested in that. So
yeah, I almost had Kevin Scott's upcoming book on my list, but it's not. It's close. Andor, the Cassian Andor show is my number 3. I'm looking forward to it. Looks like a ton of fun. I have no idea. Can't wait.
I'm gonna go Ahsoka. I'm surprised I don't have it higher, but like, I mean, I think Ahsoka gets enough love as it is, and I think the series is gonna be awesome. But like, it's like a no-brainer. Yeah, why wouldn't you make an Ahsoka thing? So
Ahsoka's not on my list.
I
forgot. Actually, it should be on my list. My number 2 is Obi-Wan Kenobi. Obi-Wan Kenobi. Old
number
Ben.
2 for me too. Number 2. Yeah. Like, I think it's the right risk to take right now. Just do it. Who cares? Who cares?
It's gonna be good. And my number 1, the Book of Bobes.
Oh wow. I'm conflicted. I mean, I guess that's the next thing coming out. So,
but it's also because of that ending tease in the Mandalorian season 2. Because of the ending, that tease, I'm like, well, now I really want this. And the fact that they've been shooting it, it's real, which is more than I can say for half the stuff on my list. So that makes me extra excited for it. Because I'm Fennec Shan, Boba Fett. What's happening with it? Is he just a badass? And the title is the Book of Boba Fett. It's like the best title so far of anything we've gotten.
Yeah, I'm gonna go Mandalorian season 3.
Nice.
Like, that show is just great, and it's just inspiring what they've done with it. Like it's great. So it launched Disney Plus in my opinion, and gotta stick with it. So we get 4 seasons, great, but I think it's gonna be perfect.
Yeah.
But yeah, Book of Boba Fett, super psyched. It's funny. It's like it feels like we don't know much about anything else. Like I didn't put Rogue Squadron on because you're right. It's like we'll see. I just on my list because it's a movie, and Star Wars. As much fun as I have watching Mandalorian and Bad Batch,
there's something about going to the theater to watch it, and and because so much time will have passed, and with COVID kind of, only being a couple of years, it still feels like 100. So it'll be nice to sit in the theater and watch Star Wars again.
It's like, we're not talking about that Lando show. We're not really talking about that anime show. Wasn't there one about droids or something like that?
Those ones I was playing, but because there's so little known about those, I just kind of stayed away. But the Acolyte, the connection with High Republic, like you said, the fact that it's like ninjas and it's a bad guy, it intrigues me right now. I mean, this list, as more things, we learn more things about all of these shows, movies, books, comics, and whatnot. This list could change drastically.
Yeah, you know what? Like, we need some trailers to come out too. Like,
yeah,
I'm excited for Andor as well, but it's just like, what is this? So.
Oh, it could be terrible. I hope not, but you never know. Anyway, that's our top 5. Let us know what your top 5 are in the comments below or in the live chat. If there is a live chat, I might forget to hit premiere again this week.
Uh-oh.
Yeah, I've done it a few times and then we get called out on it. And I blame Andrew.
I always blame Andrew. It's just easy.
It's the easiest thing to do. Anyway, this is episode 219 of the Rebel Scum podcast. He's Brock. I'm James. Anything else you want to say?
Nope. Wear a mask, get vaccinated. Come on. I don't know.
And may the force of others be with you. Said me. He wouldn't say it because he was always scum.
The Rebel Scum.
Hey scumbags, thanks for watching. Don't forget to give us a thumbs up on our video. As always, please subscribe to our YouTube channel, Rebel Scum Podcast, for all the latest videos.